circumstances. God has done his part, but Akufo-Addo has failed me.
At least you are in good health.
Yeah, by his grace, I have one more day.
We thank God. Well, the Bank of Ghana has issued a further explanation after the one that I read to you. I read a portion of what they earlier issued yesterday, before yesterday when we had a conversation. Today, yesterday, they had another one put out. Have you gone through it? What do you think?
The work is becoming very difficult for this man. Obviously, he doesn't know what he's doing to himself. I'm just warning him that he should not go and pay huge sums of money at the Bank of Ghana to some people called communication consultants who are deceiving him to be issuing these statements and being paid for it. That's what I want him to know. Because he's digging deeper. You see, when you are already down, the last thing you want to do is to dig further. You can see that he's now done three things. One, he's not fighting the finance minister. Two, he's not fighting the political class. Three, he's now added lies to the breaches of the law. And that is terrible. I'm really, really surprised. I don't know who is advising Dr. Addison. Let Dr. Addison know that the constitution that created the Bank of Ghana is a political creation. The law that established the Bank of Ghana, the Bank of Ghana Act, is a political creation.
Radio Gold.
The oversight of his work is a political creation and a political activity. So if he doesn't want to be part of the political system, he has no business sitting there. His salary is paid by the political system. The money he's been printing and throwing away is created by the political system. So when he is crying about politicization, when he himself is a product of politicization, then I have a difficulty understanding whether the man knows where he is sitting. He simply doesn't know where he is. Why? Does he think that he's working in some corporate environment? Or is an NGO he's working with? Or does he think that this is part of the enterprise group they have employed him? This is a political institution created by the political system and controlled, managed, and supervised by the political system. The earlier he gets that, the better it will be for him. That is one. Now you can see in the statement, the chicken has come home to roost. Were we not in this country when we were pointing out these factors as the factors that were hurting the economy, and he joined them in singing the chorus of COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war? Were you not in this country? Were we not in this country when we were saying that the fiscal expansion was too much and that government needed to cut expenditure? Were you not here? He joined them in singing a chorus at the time that it is Russia-Ukraine war and it was COVID-19. Today the man is saying that there was a mismatch, a huge mismatch between revenue and expenditure. And that at some point they were getting one-off financing from the World Bank and the IMF, which financing were not to be continued in subsequent year. You were here when on the floor I said that you cannot make COVID-19 expenditures become a permanent feature even after COVID has left. And they still found a way to spend that money and increase their expenditures. You were supposed to prevent them from doing that, because if you hadn't given them the money, if they came to you after they have gone ahead to expand the fiscal, and they were not getting the money from you to spend, they would have stopped, isn't it? Now the government has signed an MOU under the IMF program, just like you came to inherit, and you are not giving them the money. Have they died? Have they died? Has the economy collapsed? So why is it that you did not do that at the time? You were supposed to deny them. It's like if you have a son who is a cocaine addict. When he doesn't have the money, he won't get the cocaine to sniff. But every time this child has a turkey, he has a craving for cocaine, you throw the money at him to go and buy. Now the child becomes a junk. And you are blaming somebody else. How is that possible? Meanwhile, if you have stopped giving him the money, he will stop sniffing. So you have people with bad habits managing the economy. They were expanding the physical unreasonably and embarking on all manner of expenditures, and you are in this country. It's not as if they were using the money for anything reasonable. They were flying private jets. You were quiet. You said, oh, it is Russia, Ukraine. You were part of that single group. They were digging the most expensive hole at Rich called the Cathedral and spending money. You were clapping. And in fact, you were encouraging them. In 2022, after the budget was read in 2021, when we came out to say that the projections were just unreasonable and that they were just deceiving the capital market, and the capital market actually told them that we don't trust you. When we said all these things, they said it was Russia, Ukraine. Today he is telling you that it is true. The capital market abandoned because our spread started going up. The capital market lost confidence after almost 23 expansionary fiscal expansion in the 2023 budget. It was the reason the market shut on us and the rating agencies continuously downgraded us. This is Addison speaking. Oh, why has that man been cursed? Or now he's been possessed, so he's speaking all the truth now. Addison, you knew all of this. Go and read your monetary policy press statements in all those days. What were you telling the people of Ghana? So you were lying to us. Today, the chicken have come home to roast. You are telling us that it was a mismanagement of the economy, and you supported the mismanagement by printing and throwing money at them so they could continue mismanaging and risking our resources.
Radio Gold.
That is what he said in the statement. Now he says that we began to have auction failures. How many times have I not spoken of auction failures since 2021? Auction failures. In other words, when they go to the market to go and borrow 20 billion, they only get 10 billion. Then Addison will give them the 10 billion. That's what he's saying. Anytime they went to borrow and they were looking for 30 billion, and they got only 5 billion, Addison will give them the 25 billion. He was financing auction failures. Auction failures to help them continue the reckless expenditures that they have revenue to spend on. This is what Addison is saying.
Radio Gold.
This is what Dr. Addison is just saying in that statement. How is this an explanation if not the biggest indictment of all time? You are no more only indicting yourself, you are indicting the entire government machinery that defended a false position that they wanted Ghanaians to accept. Today you have been possessed. Today Addison is so possessed, he can no longer lie. He has to speak the truth. He's been smoked out. This is it. Addison is now saying that, and one of the biggest lies in the statement, that the Minister for Finance he told the Minister for Finance that they had breached the ceiling. And the Minister for Finance now came and briefed Parliament. The law says, if you are breaching the ceiling, you write to the Minister of Finance indicating the ceiling that you have breached. And for the Minister of Finance to now come and give us the numbers and give us remedial actions. Remedial, how he's going to pay the money, not how you are going to write it off. Senna, can Addison point to one paragraph since Ken Oforiatta became a minister of finance that he's been coming to Parliament, in which he mentioned that they had borrowed so much from the Bank of Ghana. They have borrowed so much that they are now choked at the limit. And so because they have now choked at the limit, He is coming to tell us how he is going to restore the boundaries, how he is going to pay those monies. Can he show us one paragraph in all the 7.5 years that Ken Ofori-Atta has been coming to Parliament? How can an adult of your age just lie? Just lie. Well, we know in this country, as late as just July 2022, when I did the press conference to say they were lending 44 billion to government and they had a cumulative position of 77 billion in this country, didn't they deny? How can you be denying and now be lying that the finance minister came to tell us that you were lending to them? When you were busy denying that you have printed money and you have given them money, you were denying. So how could you now be denying? And in one breath saying that, I was giving them the money, and the finance minister came to tell us. In what paragraph? Was it over coffee? Or it was over some trophies? How did he deliver that message to Parliament? How did Ken Ofori-Atta deliver that message of the ceiling that he has breached, how much is involved, and how he was going to repay? Can he tell us in which paragraph, under what circumstances? Was it in the Speaker's lobby? Or Finance Committee? Where did he say that?
So there's no evidence of that?
There is nothing. I see Parliament is a house of record. You can't just lie. The Hansard is the biggest record in Ghana. And everything we say on the floor of Parliament, every document we bring to Parliament, they are captured in our Hansard. It's a record for posterity. That record will hang Addison one day. How can you lie? Just apologize and let me take your steps to rescue yourself from the damage. We've given you a law. We've given you a strong mandate. We have built that Bank of Ghana to protect you and insulate you from anybody, including the finance minister. You decide to be the poodle of the finance minister. And now you bent your fingers by being a stooge and a bootlicker of a finance minister. How do you do that to yourself? A man of full age, a career central banker. This is what you've done to yourself. See what you are now doing. You keep lying every day. One financial statement that has been audited. You have issued 3 statements, including press conferences. If you have anything useful to tell your auditors that will make a sense and that will change anything in the report, you did that before and the auditors did not use them. It means they didn't make sense. Now you see what he's doing. He told you that DDEP1 and DDEP2. Senna, DDEP2 is it not just this May, June 2023? Cocoa board bills and the dollar-denominated bonds, Ghana bonds. Was it not in this May they started undertaking that second restructuring?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they are still even in negotiations with the insurance companies, particularly pension funds. Is that not it? Addison is saying that even before 2023 May, he was such a magician that he already wrote them off because he saw it. How can you lie? We have even completed the exchange memorandum for DDEP2.
Ghana's gold.
In 2023.
Gold.
And you are now using that as an excuse in 2022 accounts. What a magician. But you see, Addison thinks that everybody is stupid. But me, I'm ready for him. I'm ready for him. He can't mess up the economy like that and still want to lie about it. You see that he told you. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, you know he said that the total figure that they suffered from government DDEP 1 and 2 and 3 is about 53 billion.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes.
When he was accounting for the 53 billion, how much did he get? 48. Or he didn't take notice in the report?
Yeah, 48.4.
So how is that 53? You mentioned 53. They'll say, okay, how did that happen? Then you give her 48 as the details. Addison, we are not jokers in this country. How can you not even reconcile your numbers? Which officers are you working with? That you mention 58, and when you give the breakdown, you get 48. And it is the 48 we all know. Remember that, Addison, you have said on record several times that you wrote off 32 billion and an impairment of 16 billion, which gave you 48 billion total impairment. Now you are referring to the write-off of 32 billion after I caught you with section 53 that it is impairment. How can haircut be impairment? Haircut is not impairment. Haircut is an abandonment of claim. When you take a haircut on your principal, that is an abandonment of claim. It's a write-off. We don't call that one impairment. That one disappears. The person doesn't owe you that money anymore. You have abandoned the claim. And the law is quite clear under section 53 that you cannot abandon a claim. You cannot write off an asset or a fund on your books belonging to government without recourse to Parliament under section 53 for a resolution backed by a simple majority of the House. So you can call it whatever gymnastics. By that truth, you can't hide it anymore because the records in government and the record in your own office will hang you one day. So everybody should just be writing off. You go and print money, give it to government. They share the money among themselves. Then you come and write it off. What do you think? And you say that this is a response? Addison, please stop digging. Stop digging because you will bury yourself in that hole. And what you have just said, I can't believe that you said that. I can't believe it. You see, Senna, you see impairment. Impairment is not a realized loss of value. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's not a realized loss of value. It is just a financial restatement of the value of a financial instrument on your balance sheet on a reporting date dictated by the International Financial Reporting Standard 9. It gives you a formula. It's a principle enshrined in law. Okay? That is what you are responding to. It doesn't mean that the 16 billion, you can't recover it. But the cash flows that are expected, the new coupons that have been agreed, you need to value that financial instrument through a present value analysis. Ordinarily, if it was a marketable instrument, you would have looked to the price that particular instrument is being sold on the market. And you would have just used the market price to state it on your balance sheet. But because it's a non-marketable instrument, you must value it to be in compliance with IFRS 9. That is impairment. If you hold that asset to maturity, you are likely to recover every single penny of that investment. So that is not a realized loss. By a haircut, a write-off, is a realized loss not dictated by disposal, but dictated by abandonment of claim, which is illegal. That is illegal.
So essentially, we have decided that we do not want the 32.3.
We don't want it again. Yeah, they are chow. Our law said, no, we can't find scanning your dear. Come on, scanning on the honor, Cocatro, the Quinty, or this Cadechom, Romo Presua, yeah, they are channel. Otherwise, you see, the risk we will run is that PDS will go and be roaming at ECG and create a liability. Collect our ECG, our electricity money, $1.5 billion, and then you write it off. GMPC will go and borrow money, give it to their cronies, write it off. Cocobot will go and take money, give it to their cronies, write it off. Ghana Water, go and take money, give it to their cronies, and write it off. Can you imagine the country would have been living? That is why we provided those rules. If you read the interpretation section of the PF, the Public Financial Management Act, and you understand what a covered entity is, and you will know that constitutional bodies, autonomous agencies, are covered entities.
Ghana's gold.
And that Bank of Ghana is a constitutional autonomous body within the definition of a covered entity. And the law applies to him. So, Dr. Addison, we are not done yet. I'm speaking to my lawyer. They'll send me a love letter one of these days.
Well, he says, and this is the concluding part, because this is where he attempts to assure those of us in the public domain that central banks are not commercial banks. This financial outcome has very little implication for the operations of the Bank of Ghana.
Chief, he should spare us those talks. Listen. It's not a commercial bank. The money you have lost is somebody's money. Huh? You can't say that a central bank cannot be bankrupt. How? It's because you think you can go and print. Otherwise, you have collected monies belonging to our banks in reserves. You've thrown the money away, and you say what?
Ghana's gold.
You are going to borrow money on the money market under your open market operations. You have thrown the money away. When the liability comes, how are you going to pay? And you say you cannot be bankrupt. You're going to borrow monies abroad in the form of repos or swap or bridge finance or term loans. You've thrown those monies away. You have wasted the money. When the time comes, how are you going to pay? And you say you cannot be bankrupt. Do you know the meaning of having a negative net worth? It means that if they sell all your assets, you can't pay your liabilities.
Radio Gold.
And you say you cannot be bankrupt. You are worse than bankrupt. And you say that you are a loss absorber. Who made you a loss absorber? Who made you a loss absorber? Who said that if government is in trouble, go and absorb the loss? Who made you a loss absorber? He should stop using those terms. And as heard his finance minister also say that this is a technical loss. This is technical theft. When we come to this conversation is not dying now.
Clearly.
As long as he lives, he will carry this cross.
So definitely it hasn't helped the case, because listening to you.
No. He hasn't said. I mean, as a matter of fact, he has rather made some stunning revelations.
Also, he's fortified your position.
In fact, he's even now fortified opposition on matters other than the Bank of Ghana. Now, House fighting itself. Bank of Ghana is fighting Minister of Finance. The House, the Central cannot. The House is at war against itself. Now he's saying that all the things that we strategize to go and tell the people of Ghana that it is COVID-19 and it is Russia-Ukraine war, which led to the rating and all of that, that is not true. We just mismanage the fiscal. We just mismanage the fiscal and the investors' fleet. We went on fiscal expansion when we didn't have money to spend. And as a result, we were suffering auction failures, massive auction failures. And I was printing money to support the auction failures. Let's tell them the truth now, because I can't go down alone. I can't go down alone. That's what that listener just said yesterday. And he's there laughing that he has issued a statement. You have issued a death warrant. How can you write that? And think that you are explaining? Dr. Addison, when you're already on the ground, you don't dig further. Because if you dig further, it is easy to be buried in your own hole.